So McDonald's says it's doing this because they got a flood of requests from people on social media, especially asking them to extend breakfast. And so the company responded, and today's the date. They're offering breakfast all day long. Good morning. I'll take a sausage McMuffin with egg, a medium coffee black, please.
Medium hot coffee black and a sausage egg and cheese muffin. Would that be all?
That's it. And they're not just doing this to be nice to customers, obviously, because the company's had a lot of problems over the past couple of years. They lost their CEO, had a CEO change earlier this year.
Breakfast may be the most important meal of the day, but if you're grabbing it at the wrong chain, it could also be the most disappointing. From greasy, low-quality ingredients to outrageous prices for frozen, reheated food, many breakfast spots are built more for speed than for flavor or nutrition. Some of them trade on nostalgia, some on convenience, but when you actually look at what you're getting for your money, the shine wears off quickly. Here's a breakdown of the breakfast chains you should steer clear of, and 2 rare exceptions that are genuinely worth your time. 1. Denny's.
For fryer space, so they'll have to see how that works out in the end. Now, a lot of restaurants have already started extending hours, a lot of other chains and their competitors. They'll have to see how successful this is if it becomes, hello.
Medium coffee, please.
Yes, thank you. There's also some questions about whether they were going to be able to offer the hash browns all day long.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks very much, because now the hash browns are competing with the French fries, which are also very popular.
It's been a late-night staple for decades, but the breakfast game at Denny's has slipped far from its heyday. While the menu looks massive, a lot of the items are essentially variations on the same handful of pre-cooked components: bland scrambled eggs, overly salty bacon, and hash browns that taste more like fryer oil than potatoes. The pancakes are often rubbery from sitting under heat lamps, and the coffee has that unmistakable burned-in-the-pot bitterness. Factor in inconsistent service and an atmosphere that sometimes feels more like an afterthought than a welcoming diner, and you have a place that's coasting on its name rather than delivering quality. 2. IHOP. You might expect the International House of Pancakes to deliver flawless flapjacks, but too often, IHOP's breakfast feels like a sugar bomb with very little substance. Yes, the toppings are fun: whipped cream, syrup flavors, seasonal gimmicks, but the pancakes themselves are often soggy in the middle or overly chewy. Omelets lean heavily on processed cheese and minimal seasoning, and the coffee is rarely better than gas station quality. Combine that with prices creeping up toward boutique brunch territory, and you're essentially paying extra for mediocrity wrapped in nostalgia. 3. Waffle House. Waffle House has a cult following, and there's no denying it has its place, especially for a 2 a.m. plate of hash browns after a long night. But if we're talking about breakfast you actually look forward to, the chain has serious shortcomings. The waffles themselves are underwhelming, thin, limp, and lacking crispness, and the eggs can be overcooked or watery depending on the cook that day. The entire experience leans on speed and familiarity rather than quality ingredients. The charm is real, but so is the inconsistency. 4. McDonald's breakfast. The Egg McMuffin might be iconic, but that doesn't make it great. McDonald's breakfast relies on mass-produced eggs, often pre-cooked and reheated, over salted meat, and muffins or biscuits that taste more like sponges than fresh bread. The hotcakes are spongy, the hash browns are greasy, and the coffee, despite the McCaffrey brand, is still average at best. It's the definition of convenient, but in terms of flavor, freshness, and nutritional value, it's a choice you make when you're in a rush, not when you want something genuinely enjoyable. 5. Burger King breakfast. Burger King struggles to even compete in the fast food breakfast arena. The croissant, which sounds like a treat, but the croissant is more dense and doughy than flaky, and the fillings, usually limp bacon or sausage with rubbery egg, do little to help. The French toast sticks, one of their signature items, are overly sweet, oily, and lack any real texture. With most items coming from frozen storage before hitting your tray, you're essentially paying for a reheated product that's barely passable when hot and downright depressing when it cools. 6. Tim Hortons. This Canadian staple has expanded into the US, but its breakfast offerings are far from impressive. The eggs are bland and obviously pre-made, the sausage patties are overly greasy, and the breakfast sandwiches feel like a convenience store offering rather than a cafe experience. Even the famed coffee isn't what it used to be. It's often weak, overly bitter, or stale tasting. Add in pastries that are mass-produced rather than fresh-baked, and the warm, homey image quickly unravels. 7. Starbucks breakfast. Starbucks does coffee well enough to keep millions coming back, but its breakfast food is an afterthought. Almost every item in the case is pre-made, frozen, and reheated. The breakfast sandwiches are small, overpriced, and have that unmistakable microwaved bread texture. The pastries might look good under the glass, but the taste rarely matches the appearance. At boutique cafe prices, you'd expect something fresher, but here, you're paying for the brand and convenience, not the quality. 8. Subway breakfast. Yes, Subway does breakfast, but it's easy to see why most people don't even realize it. The eggs are poured from cartons and lack any real flavor. The bread is the same as what they use for lunch subs, not exactly ideal for breakfast sandwiches, and the toppings do nothing to elevate the experience. If you're already going to Subway for lunch, it might make sense to grab a quick morning sandwich, but as a dedicated breakfast stop, it's entirely forgettable. 9. Panera bread. Panera markets itself as a fresh, wholesome option, but its breakfast often misses the mark. The bagels are fine, but not worth the price when you can get better from a local bakery. Breakfast sandwiches can be dry, the eggs taste prepackaged, and the overall portion sizes are small for what you pay. Smoothies and parfaits are heavily sweetened, undermining the healthy branding. You're paying cafe prices for what often feels like reheated corporate food. 10. Dunkin'. Dunkin' dominates in coffee and donuts, but breakfast sandwiches and wraps are their Achilles heel. The eggs are spongy, the bread or croissants are often stale by mid-morning, and the meats are overly processed. While the donuts are the obvious draw, the savory breakfast menu feels like an afterthought, which makes sense, since most people come for caffeine and sugar, not a full meal. The two that are actually worth it. Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A's breakfast menu is limited compared to others, but the quality is leagues ahead. The chicken biscuits are fresh, flavorful, and actually have texture, crisp chicken on a buttery, warm biscuit. The egg white grill is one of the few fast food breakfast items that tastes clean and not overly processed, and the hash browns are consistently crispy. Combine that with friendly service and fast turnaround, and it's a rare case where the hype is justified. First Watch. If you want breakfast that feels like it was made in a real kitchen, First Watch is the chain to try. Known for its fresh ingredients, seasonal menu, and generous portions, it offers everything from avocado toast and omelets to indulgent pancakes and breakfast tacos. The coffee is rich, the juices are fresh squeezed, and the atmosphere actually makes you want to linger. It's not the cheapest option, but for the quality and care put into the food, it's worth every penny. In the end, breakfast chains fall into two camps, the ones that truly care about the morning meal, and the ones that treat it like a side hustle. Stick with the few that prioritize freshness and flavor, and you'll start your day satisfied instead of wondering why you spent good money on something you could have made better at home.